"You're dead to me," he screamed. His voice echoed off the kitchen tiles, sharp and final. I didn't flinch, didn't shout back. I picked up my keys from the counter, cool metal against my palm. The scent of burnt toast lingered in the air. It mixed with something else, the bitter smoke of a bridge collapsing. I stepped outside, no bag, no goodbye. Just silence thick as tar clinging to my throat. Where are you listening from right now? Have you ever walked away? Not out of weakness, but power. Hit subscribe. This is only the beginning. People assume the hardest part of single motherhood is the bills. It's not. It's watching the boy you'd give your last breath to become someone who sees you as disposable. Phoenix wasn't always like that. He used to fall asleep on my chest, his breath warm against my collarbone. He used to ask me to braid his hair before school. He used to say I was his hero. That's the part that haunts you, the sweetness before the rot. I raised him alone in a 2-bedroom unit in Ashmore Ridge, Nevada, a desert town where nothing bloomed unless you forced it. I worked nights at the registrar's office, days at a local cafe. I ironed uniforms at 2 a.m., packed lunches with hand-scribbled notes that said, "You've got this, kid." Every sacrifice felt worth it, until he stopped saying thank you. It began slowly. He'd sleep past noon, leave plates in the sink like they'd clean themselves. When I nudged him, "Hey, bud, think you can vacuum today?" He'd sigh like I'd insulted his soul. Then came the online streams. He'd sit up at night with headphones muttering mantras to himself, like a monk gone rogue. "You're not broke, Mom," he said one night. "You just have a poor mindset." I blinked. What does that even mean? He grinned like he'd unlocked the universe. "It means I'm not going to end up like you." That one stung, not because it was mean, but because he meant it. The tipping point came with the coach Mav, some slick-haired guy on TikTok who called parents anchors and sold courses about escaping the matrix. Phoenix was hooked from the first reel. He'd quote him like scripture. "If they're not investing in your dream, they're draining your energy." I laughed at first. Then I stopped laughing, because one night I found a charge on my bank account. 299. Success tier webinar, Mav Academy. When I asked, he shrugged like I was overreacting. "It's called believing in me." I told him it was fraud. He told me I was small-minded. That night, as I scrubbed lasagna off his plate, I realized something dark was growing in him. Something that looked a lot like contempt. And contempt never stays quiet for long. The next morning, he didn't even look up when I entered the kitchen. No morning, Mom. Just him hunched over his laptop, replaying a clip of Coach Mav on loop. "You were born for greatness," the voice blasted through cheap speakers. "Anyone who doubts you is a liability." He paused the video and turned to me, eyes gleaming like he'd joined a cult. "You hear that?" he said. "That's real talk." I tried to keep my tone calm. "Phoenix, baby, this guy's not your friend. He's selling dreams to desperate kids." He scoffed. "You just don't get it. That's why you're stuck where you are." I felt that one in my stomach. He used to help me fold laundry. Now he walked past overflowing baskets like they didn't exist. He stopped doing chores, stopped helping with groceries, refused to take the trash out, said it was low-frequency labor. He started referring to the house as my space, not our home. And whenever I pushed back even gently, he'd raise his voice and say, "You're killing my vibration." One night, I asked if he'd take the dog for a walk. He stood there, shirtless, arms crossed, and said, "You want me to spend my alpha energy picking up poop?" I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Then came the whiteboard. He dragged it into the living room, mapped out funnels and monetization strategies in bold red marker. When I asked what any of it meant, he rolled his eyes. "It's passive income, Mom. You wouldn't understand." He started skipping meals I cooked. Claimed he was fasting for clarity. He blasted trap music at 2 a.m., stomping across the apartment like he was manifesting greatness. Meanwhile, our water bill was late, the fridge was half empty, and I was still the only one cleaning the toilet. Every night, I stared at the ceiling, asking the same question. How do you save someone who thinks you're the problem? The next charge hit on a Tuesday. $3,000 gone overnight. Labeled Liquidity Access, Inner Circle Mav. My hands shook as I stared at the transaction. That was my rent, my emergency fund, my fallback for when the world cracked. I walked into his room. He was on another call, talking fast-pacing, arms waving like a preacher. "Yeah, I've got the capital now. Coach says I'm in the top 5 already." I didn't wait for him to finish. I held up my phone. "Explain this, now." He pulled off his headset and grinned. "Oh, you saw that like it was a game." My heart dropped. "That's my money, Phoenix. You stole it." He blinked, offended. "It's not stealing. It's an investment. You'll triple it back." I could barely breathe. "You had no right." He stepped closer, taller than me now, but I'd never felt so far from him. You don't get it, he said. You never did. I'm building something real. I tried to stay steady. You're building castles on a con man's website. That's when his eyes hardened. You know what, Mom? Maybe you deserve to be broke. You're weak. You've always been weak. It felt like he slapped me. He kept going. You've been a loser your whole life. Clerical job, basic life, small brain. And now you're mad I'm aiming higher. I stood frozen. This boy, the one I nursed through asthma attacks, read bedtime stories to, in the hospital, held through night terrors, was now standing inches away, spitting venom like I was nothing. You want the truth, he said, leaning in, his breath sour with cheap energy drinks. You're not my launch pad. You're my anchor. And then the final blow, just die. I don't give a shit. I didn't yell, didn't cry. I looked at him one last time and saw a stranger drowning in his own ego. Then I walked out quiet and clean. He thought it was weakness, but really, it was the first time I chose myself. He posted a video that night, standing in the same kitchen where I once taught him how to make pancakes. He wore my old bathrobe, held a mug that said Boss Energy, grinned like he'd just won a custody battle over freedom. The caption read, "Cut out toxic people, even if they gave birth to you. Level up season." No remorse, no mention, not even a whisper that I was gone. He deleted my number, blocked me on everything, told his followers he'd escaped negativity. Meanwhile, I was on a friend's couch filing a fraud claim with the bank, trying to stop automatic payments he triggered from my old accounts. The $3,000 was gone. The $8,000 after that vanished too. They said the transfers were made from a trusted device, my old laptop, the one I gave him when he said he wanted to start a business. He emptied it, then tossed me out like a lunch receipt. And yet, he kept performing, posting clips of him and his girlfriend, Sienna, laughing over fake cash stacks, filming alpha couple TikToks in our living room. She called him CEO as he spun in my office chair. In one video, she fed him strawberries while he declared, "The Matrix doesn't own us anymore." I watched it from a burner account, numb, not with hate but with disbelief. They filmed motivational speeches in front of my curtain, used my potted plants as props, even wore my old cardigan like it was some vintage statement. But the cracks started showing fast. The fridge behind them, empty. The lights flickering in the background, unpaid bill. In one stream, his voice glitched, and I spotted a red slip taped to the wall. Eviction notice. He didn't even blur it, just pretended it wasn't there. Sienna stopped sharing his posts. Started uploading solo selfies with captions like "Boss Betch era no tags. Know him." I knew what that meant. She was halfway out, but he couldn't see it. Too busy shouting affirmations into a room that was falling apart. He said it like it was destiny. "This is the one," Phoenix told Sienna, "Coach Mav's picking me for partnership. 10 grand and 50 out." She looked up from her phone. "Do you even have 10 grand? He grinned. "I will." The next morning, he took out loans from 3 fast cash apps, 30% interest, no background checks. He wired $9,850 to a crypto wallet named Next Phase Capital. "No middlemen this time," he told her. "It's direct. Private wallet, secure." She raised an eyebrow. "Did you get a receipt?" He laughed. "They don't do receipts. It's elite level." She didn't laugh back. At 9:00 a.m., he sat at the kitchen counter, refreshed his inbox every 15 seconds, wore his best hoodie, told her they're going to announce my promotion live. By 10 nothing. No email, no confirmation, no Discord. Ping. He checked the mentor's Telegram group. Deleted. All chats wiped. Admin's gone. The YouTube channel vanished. Instagram cleared. The bio that once read, "Helping men escape mediocrity," now blank. He called the number Coach Mav used for voice notes. Straight to voicemail. Tried again. Dead. His face paled, sweat beaded above his lip. Sienna walked back in, held her coffee, watched him spiral. "Wait," he said, pacing. "They're in Dubai. Different time zone." She narrowed her eyes. "Dubai's ahead. If anything, they should have emailed earlier." Silence. She sat across from him, arms folded. "Phoenix, did you just get scammed for 10 grand? He didn't answer. Couldn't. Because even saying it aloud would shatter the last lie holding him together. Sienna stood. Didn't yell. Didn't throw anything. She picked up her skincare bag, her charger, her pink denim jacket. He watched, confused. "Wait, you're leaving." She didn't look back. "I'm not going to be the girl who sticks around for a guy who fell for Next Phase." The door closed behind her like the last click in a collapsing dream. And Phoenix was finally alone. Not metaphorically, physically. No mentor, no girlfriend, no followers who cared. Only silence and the echo of a truth he'd spent months ignoring. 3 days passed before he stopped pretending it was all just a glitch. He hadn't eaten real food. The fridge hummed over rotting leftovers, mostly mine. He tried his card at a gas station, declined. He opened his banking app. Negative balance, loan interest climbing, no safety net, no one left to call. He thought about calling me, then remembered I was still blocked. That night he searched my name, first on LinkedIn, then Facebook. There I was, new profile picture, shorter haircut, smiling with coworkers around a table, a cake in front of me that read, "Welcome back, Ramira." One post had me holding a coffee mug, survivor. Another showed me laughing hand on someone's shoulder, caption, "Sometimes peace is who you let go." He stared at that one for a long time, too long, not because he hated me, but because I looked happy, thriving, unaffected. And worst of all, gone. I hadn't just walked out, I'd rebuilt. Without him. That was the moment it hit him, not like a slap, but like a slow avalanche. He was no longer my reason, no longer my worry, not even my weight, just a chapter I'd already closed. He didn't cry, didn't scream, just sat there, screen-dimming phone, dying reputation, gone legacy never built. He whispered into the dark, she didn't even hesitate. And for the first time in his life, he understood what it meant to be on the outside of someone else's peace. He didn't plan to come to my doorstep, it just happened. One moment he was scrolling through my photos. The next his feet were on the cracked sidewalk outside the duplex I now called home. It looked different, painted a soft green curtains, drawn a flower box on the windowsill. I was inside. He knew it. My car was parked out front. The porch light glowed amber. He stood there in the fading light, his hoodie pulled over his head like a child playing invisible. I didn't open the door, but I saw him. Through the slats of the blinds, I watched him hesitate. His hand hovered, knuckles trembling. He knocked twice soft, uncertain. I didn't answer. Just sat on the couch with the TV humming low and a cup of tea growing cold in my hands. He sat down on the top step, pulled his knees up, stared at the cracks in the wood like they held secrets. I could almost hear his thoughts. How did it come to this? How did I lose everything but still not know how to say I'm sorry? He didn't try to record, didn't perform, didn't pull out his phone once. For the first time in years, he was silent. Outside, the wind picked up. It rustled the trees, sent dry leaves scattering across the yard. He didn't move. Not when the streetlights buzzed on. Not when the neighbor's dog barked. Not even when his stomach growled loud enough to echo through the stillness. I got up once, peeked through the window. He hadn't shifted an inch. Arms wrapped around himself, eyes closed like he was trying to disappear. That's when I understood he wasn't here for forgiveness. He was here because there was nowhere else left. I didn't feel pity, just clarity. He chose this. With every lie, every insult, every dollar he stole, and never returned. Now he was back. Not as a son, but as a stranger, hoping silence might be enough to earn a second chance. He stayed on that step all night, didn't knock again, didn't call out, just sat there knees to chest like the silence could save him. I turned off the porch light around midnight. He looked up when the glow vanished. For a moment, just a flicker, I saw something crack behind his eyes. Not pain, not guilt, just realization. That I was inside, and still chose not to open. He didn't try to break the silence. Didn't shout, didn't beg. He curled tighter, pulled the hood further over his face, and let the dark hold him. From my bedroom window, I watched him sleep sitting up, head, bobbing shoulders twitching against the cold. By dawn, the wind had shifted. Dry desert air gave way to a crisp bite that settled in your bones. He shivered, arms wrapped so tightly, he looked like he might fold in half. And still I waited, not out of cruelty, but because apologies mean nothing if they don't come with stillness. At 6:32 a.m. I opened the door. No warning, no dramatic swing, just a click and a creak. He flinched, eyes puffy, lips cracked, cheeks hollow. He blinked like he wasn't sure I was real. Like the door opening was some kind of hallucination he'd imagined too many times. I didn't smile, didn't cry, didn't say I missed you. Just one sentence, get up, not here. He stood slowly as if every joint hurt. Followed me inside barefoot and broken. I poured a glass of water, set it on the counter, didn't point to it, didn't say drink. He sat on the edge of the couch, not leaning back, not daring to touch a cushion. Like the furniture would reject him too. Finally he said it. I messed up. I nodded once, didn't rush in with comfort, didn't fill the space with it's okay. Because it wasn't. I lost everything, he added, voice barely above a whisper. Another nod. Then the only question I needed to hear. Why'd you open the door? I looked him dead in the eye and said, because you finally knocked like a man. He didn't cry. Not yet. But the silence afterward felt different. Not full of fear, but of gravity. This wasn't a reunion. It was a reckoning. And I was done softening the landing. I didn't offer him the guest room. Just a mattress in the laundry space. No blanket, one pillow. He didn't complain, didn't ask for more, just lay down like he'd been dropped from a tall building. In the morning, I left a note on the table. It wasn't long. Days. You cook, you clean, you work. No lies, no excuses, no second thefts. If you fail, once you're out. He didn't say a word when he read it. Didn't argue. Just nodded like he knew it was better than he deserved. That first week, he scrubbed the floor on his knees, burned his hand trying to fry eggs, tore a garbage bag, swore under his breath when juice leaked across the kitchen tile. I didn't help. I watched. He applied for jobs using my old laptop, the same one he once used to empty my bank account. Now he used it to beg for minimum wage work. He finally landed something at a car wash. 6:00 a.m. shift. Outdoor cold rinse drying towels by hand. He came home soaked fingers, red knuckles split from rough rags. Still he didn't whine, didn't record a single second, didn't even touch his phone for hours. Something had broken inside him, and maybe something better was growing in the cracks. He stopped calling himself a visionary, started asking things like, "Do we have detergent?" He fixed the leaky faucet without announcing it, cleaned out the fridge, and finally threw away the takeout containers that had been there since before I left. He didn't ask me to talk, just worked. Every night I left a glass of water on the counter. Every night he drank it without a word. One night he lingered in the doorway as I was folding laundry. He cleared his throat. "I used to think silence meant weakness," he said. "But yours was power." I paused, let that sit in the air, then said I didn't need to shout. "You weren't listening anyway." He nodded, didn't argue, didn't defend himself. Just whispered, "I hear you now." The next morning he brought me coffee. It wasn't perfect, too much sugar, but he set it down gently like it mattered. And for the first time, I let it stay. Didn't push it away, didn't flinch, just held the warmth in my hands and thought, maybe accountability isn't an apology. Maybe it's effort stacked in small, quiet actions day after day until trust grows back from the roots. He still had a long way to go, but for once he wasn't trying to skip to the ending. He was just showing up. People ask if I forgave him. If that boy who once screamed, "You're dead to me," ever became my son again. The answer isn't simple, because forgiveness, real forgiveness, isn't a door you walk back through. It's a road, one you crawl bleeding from the cuts you gave yourself. I didn't hug him after 30 days, didn't say "I'm proud of you," but I did ask if he wanted to help plant tomatoes. He said yes. We didn't talk much, just dug into the soil, hands dirty, sun warm on our backs. That's how healing starts, not with big words, but with quiet work. Phoenix still sleeps in the laundry space, still gets up at 5:30, still hands me receipts after every shift. He hasn't asked to borrow money, he hasn't mentioned Coach Mav once. And maybe that silence is the real apology. I'm not sure if we'll ever get back what we had, but I no longer flinch when I see his shadow, and he no longer looks away when I meet his eyes. That's enough for now. Reddit, you tell me, was I cruel for making him starve on his own lies? Or was that the only way he could learn to feed himself with truth? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done? And if you've ever had to walk away to save yourself, hit subscribe. There's more where that came from.